Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm delighted that you're with us today. You know, the field of afterlife research and education has grown enormously over the past 2 decades. Perhaps it's time for us to start to celebrate that fact. I recall that when this century began, I was deep in doing my own research and just discovering right about then that the afterlife evidence I was putting together precisely affirmed what Jesus had told us in the Gospels. Wow. And vice versa. I thought that was the most amazing discovery ever made since the earth was young. And I started a short-lived website even. It was called JesusIsRight.com. And I probably ought to do something with that now because I looked it up to see if there's anything there. And some agent is offering my URL for sale while I still own it. So maybe we'll use it. But I didn't know anything about running a website back then. And I was practicing law full time and hadn't at that point really gotten my act together at all. What brought me to the next stage of this work was a propitious email in 2008 from our friends at Amazon.com. I just love those guys. They thought I might be interested in a new book called Your Eternal Self, Your Eternal Self, by Dr. R. Craig Hogan. And boy, was I ever interested. Your Eternal Self was a revelation to me. Dr. Hogan put together so many aspects of the greater reality that I had been trying to fiddle with myself and unsuccessfully, and he made so many things much clearer to me that I sent him a fan email, something I'd never, ever do. And that began our correspondence, and in the following year, I brought him to Austin to give a standing room only presentation at Unity Church of the Hills, and thus began a wonderful friendship. Dr. R. Craig Hogan, I am confident, is the most elevated person spiritually I have ever known who is still inhabits a body. I am not so advanced, but I'm trying to become that. So I made myself my own experimental subject in the field of spiritual growth, trying to better understand what it is and what helps to make you grow and what doesn't help. And I've judged the success of all my efforts by measuring myself against my dear friend Craig. And he doesn't know that, actually, so he's hearing about it at the same time you are. Dr. R. Craig Hogan is a beautiful, intense, and selfless man whose whole driving need is to help you as much as he possibly can. How many people can you say that about? He's been on Seek Reality 28 times, each time with a different topic, and that shows you his range. Welcome back, Craig. I am so glad to have you with us again.
And you know that I'm always delighted to come. We have such a good time together.
We always do.
And there's so much to talk about. I mean, we've got a universe of things to talk about. So it's been wonderful. I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah, and so am I. One of the things I love about talking with Craig is that he does so much good talking. I just listen myself. It's sort of like I'm one of the listeners too. One of the things that we ought to talk about briefly is what I started to talk about a few minutes ago. As we begin the 3rd decade, can you believe it, of the 21st century, I wonder what you think about the progress we've made in the field of afterlife research and education since the year 2000. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, we've made tremendous progress, and we can see the progress in the general population. And what is happening is that today people are saying, I know Grandpa is looking down on us. I know Mom was here today at their birthday party. I could feel her. And people are generally starting to talk like that. It's no longer that we're forbidden to talk to those who have passed on to the next life. We are talking to them, we are feeling their presence, and that's generally happening in the population. So this is a grassroots awareness that's coming to us, that's coming to people. And so we're seeing it happen there. We're also seeing it happen among the academics. So people are beginning to realize, because science is taking us into the realizations of what the greater reality is and who we are in eternity, that science has got to look at it now.
Yes.
Ever since the beginning of the 20th century, when they made tremendous strides in quantum mechanics, to the realization that consciousness affects reality. to the point that some of the quantum physicists are saying that materialism, the belief that there is an objective world and that we're just pieces of soft rock inside of it, is now incompatible with quantum physics. That we can't have a material world; it has to be a different kind of world. And Sir James Jeans has even said that this is a spiritual world, it's a mental world, and he tells the physicists who don't believe it to get over it, just grow up and realize that that's the truth. So things are changing.
I think you're right, and I'm glad to hear you say it. It's not just me, but I'm still frustrated. I mean, I read Scientific American. I've been reading it for 2 decades at least, and I don't see that the working scientists are getting as much of a clue as, we sort of see happening around the edges. And on a personal level, scientists seem to be a lot more aware that, reality is nothing like what scientists have been telling us. But you and I both feel, I think, that only when there's good afterlife communication that's electronic and reliable will we be able to force them to open their minds a bit more. I just hope you're right that they're softening.
Yes, I believe that's true. And part of the problem with the journals is that the journals are very conservative. They are always well behind the times. It was 1 year after the Wright brothers had flown at Kitty Hawk that there was an article in Scientific American, and it said that they called them the Lying Brothers because heavier than aircraft can fly, and that was 1 year after Kitty Hawk, and so the media are far behind. They're going to actually drag their feet. They're impeding our progress. But it's coming among the scientists who are now looking at it. They're saying there is something here. We don't know what it is. We don't want to say that it's what the woo-woo people, the metaphysicians, are saying, but we know there's something there, and we're just going to have to try to puzzle it out. And that's a good start, because once they start to try to puzzle it out, they're going to realize that there is no way that they can put those pieces together, because they have a whole lot of pieces of that puzzle that are missing. And they're going to have to come around to understanding the fact that consciousness is the basis of reality. Matter and energy are only manifestations of consciousness. And when they begin to realize that, then there'll be a revolution in physics. There'll be a revolution in science.
Oh, I certainly hope you're right. How long do you think this is going to take? Do you see it happening more rapidly, or is it going to be maybe halfway through the century?
Well, Copernicus first had advanced the idea that the Earth is not the center of the universe in the beginning of the 16th century, and it wasn't until the Galileo, the next century, before that began to take hold. And it wasn't until later in that century that people generally agreed that it was true. So there you are. I mean, this is going to take a long time to happen, but we have an advantage now. We have the advantage of the mass communication devices, the internet, which has been a godsend to humanity. And what it's doing is it's helping us to compare notes and to show people, to give them evidence. And I think that that's going to accelerate it. So I could imagine that within a few decades, then we would have a general consensus, a general understanding. But I sure don't see it being taught in the schools. Not anywhere, not in the very near future. So it's good.
But they don't teach much else either, though.
They don't teach anything at all. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you and I have talked about what we should be doing, and I know that you're doing some things. I'm very interested in what AREI is now working on. So can we talk a little about that? The Afterlife Research and Education Institute, which Craig has founded. And I just got your New Year email. It is so sophisticated. I just loved it. I mean, it even addressed me by name and everything. Oh my goodness! So you're just going bananas with this. And some wonderful, wonderful people are on your board and are part of the programs at AREI. So let's just talk briefly about that. I want to talk about your books upcoming, but let's talk about AREI.
Yeah, sure. AREI was originally founded, and Roberta, you were on the original board. You were one of the founders. And
Thank you, dear.
what we did was we came together And it was pretty much at the beginning just Roberta and me who had the idea that what we need to do is we need to support the people who are out there who are helping humanity to change, the people who are the researchers and the developers, and those who are tirelessly trying to help people to understand. And so that we thought that we would develop an organization that would support them. And so we developed the AREI, and that was only about 3 or 4 years ago. And
Yes.
now we are supporting a great variety of researchers in instrumental transcommunication and in mind-to-mind communication in a great variety of ways. And they now are coming into fruition. There are many of these researchers, such as Sonia Rinaldi in instrumental transcommunication, who are just doing marvelous work, and they're advancing humankind, and that's what we're about. And our focus this coming year, is going to be upon developing instructional materials. So we're going to be developing instructional materials so that people can start small groups. We want people to be able to get together in small groups and discuss what we know to be true, and then receive Zoom lectures from experts in the field. And of course, we are looking forward to the possibility of having a Search Reality University. And when it comes out, it's going to be a major part of helping humankind to understand what it is that we know to be true today. And so that's where we're going. We're trying to help these groups to develop all over the world. And once that happens, then we will see that grassroots effort becoming even stronger. And then we'll see a change in humankind.
I think I should just say, the reason I'm not directly involved with AREI now, although I support it, is that we are beginning to look at what we can do online that would be even sort of an overarching parent. We're not quite ready to talk about it yet, but Craig will be back in a few weeks, and we'll talk more concretely about what our next stage is. But I'm just very excited that when I had to, 24 hours is unfortunately filled much too easily if you're trying to do 5 things at once. So I had to back up, and I'm working on something else that we're soon going to be doing together as well. But I just astonishes and delights me to see that, you just have pulled it. You have a wonderful board. You have terrific people working with you. We'll talk about some of them hopefully toward the end of this hour. But everyone, Afterlife Research and Education Institute, why don't you just go to its website and check out what they're doing? I think that it's something which a lot more people, if they knew about it, would really want to join, because this is where it's at now, learning better communication with the people that we used to think were dead, finding ways that we can do it electronically. It will be very reliable, maybe an app on your phone at some point. And it's exciting. And, of course, Craig is in the forefront, as he is with all things. So, all right, let's talk about these books that are coming out in next summer. At first, just Earth School. Craig and I use 2 different terms for what is really the same process. I talk about coming to the gym where we stretch our minds and we work against negativity the way you work against the machines in a gym. Craig calls it Earth School. And he's trying to help people better understand just the reason why we are here. This is the meaning and the purpose of human life. So talk a little about it, Craig, and what you're doing with these wonderful books. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, it turns out it looks like it's going to be 3 books together.
I thought it was 2 the last time you and I talked.
And
my word.
One of the books is going to be taking a lot of the material from Your Eternal Self and then developing it further. And it's going to show what we know now, why we know that the mind is not in the brain, and as a result of that, we continue to live after the brain stops functioning. The fact that we are joined together, that we influence each other even in our thoughts, even though we don't realize it. The fact that we influence the physical realm. So we make the physical realm the way that it is. We create it by consensus reality. So that's one book. And the second book is going to be a book explaining that there is nothing but mind and experiences. And because there are only mind and experiences, we can influence this world, and we can make this world into whatever it is that we want it to be. And so what I do is I explain why that's true, why we know that it's just mind and experiences, and then what it's like in Earth School as a result of that. And I'm going to be taking people all the way through the point at which we make the decision, even before the conception occurs in a child and a fetus. Before the conception occurs, an individual has decided to incarnate onto the Earth School, and from that point of making that decision through the birth, through the early years of life in which they learn to function in Earth School and learn all of Earth School's rules and what they must do and what they must not do, and what the right religion is and the wrong religion. And
Yeah.
they go through and they learn all of these rules, and then they come to the point at which they have to come to where they say, these rules are impeding me. I can't grow if I keep following these rules. I'm going to take them one at a time, and I'm going to look at them, and I'm going to throw out those that don't apply. And now I can become a new person. I can grow spiritually. I can become all I can become in life. And our goal in life is to love, learn, and be happy. And so then we can love, learn, and be happy by throwing off all of the rules that we learned in Earth School. So then it goes into the transition when we leave Earth School and we graduate, we go on, and then what life is like on the next plane of life that we go into. So and that's an exciting time. And then the third book is going to be a very easy to read general book. It's not going to have all the statistics and all of the facts. And it's a very easy to read general book that is going to have the content of both of those books in a very short form, easily digestible, easily readable, with references to the other books and references to a website that is called earthschoolanswers.com, where they can actually watch videos of people speaking, and they can see videos of the experts in the field discussing what they know to be true. So it's all going to be one bundle, and that will be finished by summer of this coming year. I have set that as my goal, and that gives me something to push towards.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
That's huge, because what you're really saying is whatever someone's level of understanding, knowledge, or development is, you're able to help them with this set, because they can get the sort of beginner's course. They can get it online. They can get it in a summary book, and they also can get much more detail if they've got scientific training, or if they've done a lot of study in this field. You can help them there too by showing them how it all fits together and works.
Yeah. And that the scientific part has over 600 citations now. The two books, the two longer books, are already in working draft. There's 750 pages, and that's kind of it's full of everything that someone would want to know, and the data behind it. The reason we know that these things are true, where science is taking us. So that's all in those books. But then the shorter book is going to only be maybe 150 to 200 pages long, and that's going to be the easy reading book, and it's going to. I want that to inspire people. It's more than just informing. I want it to have an effect on people emotionally. And so then that will be the book that I'm looking forward to getting out and getting into people's hands most.
Yeah, I think I don't know if any of you have read Your Eternal Self and also read my books. If you have, I'm allergic to footnotes. I mean, I just don't do footnotes. And Craig is the scholar. I sort of feel as if we're a pair, because Craig is a scholar and he deeply, deeply sources what he tells you. What I do is tell you what I've come to understand is true. So in a sense, all that I write is the simple book that you are also including in this set. But what you do, one of the things that thrilled me about Your Eternal Self was that if I had questions about what I was reading, you had answered them right there. There were footnotes galore in that book. So I think that's terrific. What are you calling these books?
Well, the two books, one of them is Earth School, and the subtitle is Love, Learn, and Be Happy. And so those are really, those are the goals. We should be happy. We should be happy every day, every moment. If we're not happy, then it's because we're doing something or believing something that's getting in the way of our happiness. And because we have free will, we're able to go into what it is that who we are, deeply who we are inside. And we're able to change that and make those adjustments. So we can do that. And so that's the message of the first book
Well,
is that
Craig, stop a minute and talk about that, because people are saying, what? I can change and then suddenly I'm happy? Can you talk a little bit more about that process, why that would be true? And you can't give us obviously the whole book, but
Mhm.
that's such a profound thought for so many people, that they have the power, if they're not happy, to make themselves happy, truly.
Sure. Every experience that we have has both the experience and an interpretation of the experience, and then a resulting emotion that's connected to it. So when we have an experience, for instance, if we have an experience of someone coming to us and saying, I wish you would stop doing that. And our interpretation can be either, oh yeah, I'm grateful to you. I'm glad that I realized that that's true, and that was something valuable. And I know you have high regard for me and you love me, and that's a good thing for you to say to me. And then the emotion is going to be an emotion of satisfaction and of love and regard for the other person. Or we can have the same experience of someone saying that to us, and we can have the experience like, you don't like me. You're saying that I'm worthless. You're saying that there's nothing good about me, and then the emotion is going to come out as one of sadness and frustration and even
Oh,
anger.
yeah.
So that it's the interpretation of the experience. All the experiences that we have in Earth School are the same. So we all have the experiences. The interpretation is what makes the difference. And as a result of the interpretation, then we feel whatever the emotion is. So in order to feel happy, we have to go in and we have to look at the experiences that we're having and why we have the interpretations we're having of the experiences. If our interpretation is that these things are happening to us and they are not negative, that they are coming from love, that we are more important than the things that are happening, then we will feel happiness. But if we don't, then we will feel sadness and frustration. We decide what the interpretation is. The interpretation is entirely within our control. And we do that by, if something happens to us and it makes us feel bad, we feel sad, we feel like somebody doesn't like us. And then instead of getting upset by that and allowing the frustration to overwhelm us, allowing that emotion to come to us, we have to stop and look at that and examine it as though had this odd little animal in our hand. And we're looking at this, and we're looking at all sides of it and saying, why is it that feels that way? What is it about that I'm believing? How can I change that belief? Instead of running from it or anesthetizing it with going into a lot of work or alcohol or any anesthetizing agent, instead of doing that, stop, look at it, understand it, and then accept it for what it is and say, this is not me. This is not my life. I'm greater than that. I'm an eternal being. I'm having a physical experience. This is going to come and go, and I don't need to feel awful about it. And we can do that with every experience that we have in our lives, especially those that are experiences that result in our feeling emotionally negative about the feeling. And we have that entirely in our control.
See, I think that's very profound, because it's true. And if you think about your friends, everyone you come to see, there are some people, no matter what happens, they're never happy. And there are other people who have much less and had many more setbacks, and yet their hearts are always high. I've now that I see it, now that you point it out and I see it, I realize all my life I've been trying to understand what made that difference. But it's really just our perception. And you're saying we can change that perception.
Yes, we have that within our control. And that is why we're in Earth School. Earth School really is, when we would look at who we are, who are we? Well, we are the awareness that's at the point of now. So we are that awareness. We are the person who's having the experiences at the point of now. And that is the part that is eternal. That is who we are eternally. And we are in Earth School to be able to change what happens in that point of now, what happens in those experiences. That's our role here. And we can make those experiences into vital experiences that have high regard for us, that increase our worth. Or we can allow the experiences that we learned as children when we first grew up to dominate our lives. And if they dominate our lives and we never look at them and we never change them, then we will go through our whole lives being unhappy. And there's no reason for that. We don't have to feel that way. We are in the Garden of Eden. This is the Garden of Eden. It's only that in Yeshua, Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, the kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the face of the earth, and men do not see it.
Yes. Yeah.
And because of the fact that we don't allow ourselves to have that happiness that is ours to have.
One of the things that we are more and more coming to understand is that all of this knowledge and learning is of a piece. You'll see that Craig also has been studying the teachings of Jesus, someone 2,000 years ago who told us a lot of the things we're only learning now independently from the people we used to think were dead. It's all of a piece. And that was the thing that most excited me about meeting you, Craig, because I had come to understand we were going to have to know about the whole greater reality. We were going to have to put everything together. And you are the only person that I know who is not a specialist who does, in fact, put the whole thing together. I think that for many people, unless they have some sense of what happens at and after death, of where all of that is, of how the greater reality works, of how consciousness works, all of these things, we need to understand them all, because if we don't, it doesn't make sense. You're walking around and you think you understand what goes on around you and how cars work and, how dishwashers work, and that allows you to feel comfortable in that reality. Well, the work that Craig is doing is going to make it possible for us to feel comfortable in the true reality, in the greater reality, which is what all of us will return to at death. Actually, this world is part of it now, but we aren't aware of it. This is just a tiny part of it. So I'm so excited about what you're doing. I think this is going to be so helpful to people to finally come to understand these things.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to having it done too, because we can make such a difference for humankind. There is so much if people just understood it. If people just realized what we know to be true now. You and I know it's true, and
yes.
If the whole world knew that it was true, we would live in a world that was full of love, peace, and joy, if the whole world knew that this was true.
That's right.
So it is a matter of the fact that the kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the face of the earth. We could be in the Garden of Eden. We can be in the kingdom of heaven here on earth if everyone realized these truths and gave up on those kinds of prejudices and those previous notions that are primitive about who man is and our tribal needs and what it is that we have to have that is separate from everyone else, and the greed that results and the desire for power that results. And if we could set those aside and learn that they are not what's important in life, then humankind would change and the world would change.
And the thing that you emphasize, which I'm so glad you do, is that this is the route to happiness. Mm-hmm. There is actually no other route to happiness than to begin to grow spiritually. Nothing else will satisfy you. It doesn't matter how rich you are or how much you feel loved or anything. It's raising your own consciousness vibration, which is what this is all about. So This is exciting. We're going to have fun with all this stuff next year. So what I'd like to do is to talk a little bit, too, about some of the people involved with AREI. I just had Dennis Grega and Michelle Szabo on Seek Reality. You can go back a few weeks, everyone, and find their interviews. And tell us a little about them, because I really would like to promote their work. The things that they are doing look to me to be so helpful to people who are trying to learn and grow now.
Yeah, and they have what amounts to a ministry. I mean, they are doing things for humankind, for people, and they are tireless workers. Dennis has a PhD, and he has been doing work in programming and in developing tools that people can use to increase their awareness. He's developed the afterlifedata.com and afterlifelibrary.com, and they're the most complete compendiums of knowledge about the afterlife and a greater reality that exists today. And they have done this work and now are making it available to humankind. It's online and anybody can look at it. And so Dennis is involved in that. He's also involved in doing research. So we're doing research together and better understanding mediumship and what happens when people do readings. And we're going to be doing cross correspondences in which we compare what a medium is getting to what a channeler is getting to what somebody in a physical medium circle is getting, and compare notes on all of them and
really
what's valid.
That's a great idea. That's one of the problems. Many people mistrust the process because it's never really been studied in any complex way. I mean, what Dr. Gary Schwartz did, which was helpful, was to do some testing of mediums, double and triple blind testing, but testing different ways to receive the material does make a huge difference in helping us understand just what the process is and what the best ways are to do these things. So that's wonderful that he's doing that.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be comparing a mental medium. We'll get a message, then compare it to what a channeler is getting, and then compare it to what a physical medium is getting, and make comparisons among all of these. And it will be both validations for the messages that we're getting.
Yes.
And it will help us to understand better the kinds of messages each one of these unique personalities get when they get some sort of a message from the afterlife or from someone in another realm, and it could be any other realm. So we're going to be comparing notes between them to see what it is that they're getting, and that will help to better inform us about what it is that they're getting.
Now, tell me about voicesacrosstheveil.com, because that's a service, isn't it, that is also research?
Yeah, that's Michelle Szabo, and she has developed Voices Across the Veil. It's a wonderful service, realizing that most people can't get to a medium. It's very difficult to get to see a medium, and they're expensive, and so in order to get more people in to have medium readings, so that people realize the truth about the greater reality, they realize that we're eternal beings, and they have some solace in a time of grief. She developed Voices Across the Veil. And Voices Across the Veil is done online in what's called Zoom, which is a service that you're able to get on like Skype, and you can look at the people and you can see them talking and you can talk back and forth. It's like having a meeting with people all around the world. And what she's done is she has set up a service in which she has a medium, a qualified medium, come on. And there will be 6 to 8 people, I believe, is the number that she has, 6 to 8 sitters, people who come in and they would like to have a reading. And so they come into the meeting, and they're all on this Zoom meeting together, looking at each other. And the medium then will start and go around to each one of them and give them a reading about their loved ones. And that in the process, they receive a reading. They're also uplifted by hearing the readings for the other people. So it's a wonderful experience. It's a joyful experience to have this happen. And Voices Across the Veil, the amount that's charged is very reasonable. The figure that I remember was something like $45.
Oh my goodness!
It'll be something in that range for the person.
And
that's
hundreds. Wow!
That just is to give some remuneration to the medium. Voices Across the Veil doesn't take that. And so what she's done is she's performed a wonderful service. It's very successful. And I would invite anybody to get on voicesacrosstheveil.com and take advantage of that. So both Dennis and Michelle are doing marvelous work. They're working tirelessly. They're continually sending me emails and letting me know what they're doing, and I'm collaborating with them on the research that we're doing. And so we're looking forward to them doing even more work in the future. They just need support. So it's like all of us. We're trying to get them support. We've tried to find funding for them so that they can continue their work, but they are doing marvelous work.
No, this is very exciting. You had raved about them to me, so I interviewed them on Seek Reality, and I was so impressed with them as people and the work that they were doing. We're going to have them on again. I think it's in June to just update us on how things are going for them. And the other person who is going to be a Seek Reality regular, he's already been here twice, is Rob Blackburn. Tell us about him and what he's up to.
Yeah, Rob is a wonderful young man. He is, well, he's young, he's in his 40s, but
That's young to us.
he's young to us.
Yes.
And he is actually he's a middle school teacher, so he teaches history. He's very bright, very engaging, and articulate. And Rob is developing physical medium. Now, a physical medium means that this is a medium who sits in a room with a group of people called sitters. And the physical medium then usually goes into a cabinet by himself where the energy can be isolated, it can be controlled. And the physical medium goes into the cabinet, and the sitters then sit around the table and they sing songs and they're uplifting and having a good time, just having fun. And during the process, then things happen with the physical medium. Ectoplasm comes out of the physical medium. And the ectoplasm then can come out into the room and it can make things move around the room. It can make things develop, and there can be what are called apports. Things can drop out of the air onto the table. And they also can do materializations. So the ectoplasm can come out and it can develop around the etheric body of an individual who is in the afterlife, and that person can then walk around the room and talk to the people who are in the room. So that's what a physical medium does, and Rob is in the process of developing now to be a physical medium. We asked the team on the other side. There's a team who's working with us. We know who they are. We talk to them, and the team on the other side that's working with us, we asked them if there was another physical medium in Illinois, and they said no, there is no other physical medium in Illinois.
Really?
There are probably
Wow.
not more than a dozen in the United States, and so
But
it's
did,
unique.
I want to give you the credit though, because Craig decided, this is just to back up a step. At the early part of the 20th century, latter part of the 19th, there were a lot of physical mediums. Conditions were right for developing them because it was before radio and TV, and people would entertain themselves table tipping and stuff. But then it sort of died out, and Craig felt that was not a good thing, that we could be still developing them, because the kind of work that they're able to do for us and showing us that life is eternal is so important. So you took this on yourself to start this development circle, and it has had such amazing results. But you've been doing this for a long time. Tell us about starting it and how long it's been going on.
12 years.
Oh, gee.
So,
And you do this every
12 years
week,
ago.
right? For
12 years
12 years?
What happened was that as you said, I knew that there would be more physical, mental, and trance mediums in the population, that they're out there. We just need to nurture them. We need to bring them out so that they could develop. And so I started a circle in the middle of the cornfields here in Illinois to see what would happen, to see if they would be able to bring them out, to see if the teams would work with us. The teams honored that. So we have a team on the other side who honored that and came together, and they have brought people to the circle. And so now we have this physical medium who's one of only maybe a dozen in the world, who is developing, and he just came out of the cornfields. And we also have a mental medium who is a mental medium who gets messages from the team and brings them into the circle. We have a trance medium who is actually was a trance medium. He was so strong that he was taken over by entities almost from the first day that he came in. It was so strong that he's taken a vacation. He's actually a college student, so he didn't
Wow.
want to have to be engaged in this. So we have a trance medium, and then we have 3 sitters, myself included, who have the energy and the desire, and they are using us. They're using our talents. So we put together this circle just to show that anybody can do this, that people can start a circle someplace. But it does take time. We sat for 7 years before anything happened.
And you do this every week, Craig, right? You
Every
go into
week,
this.
every
Oh, my
week,
word.
right?
I
Every
just
week.
can't get over you.
But people go to church every week. People go to church every Sunday and don't think
Yeah.
twice about it. And so we came for 7 years then, and now very much happened. Then we got the group that we have now, which is a group of 5 people, and everything clicked. There was great harmony among us. Everything went well, and that's when the table started shaking. so that the table that we're sitting around started to rock back and forth. And that
Right.
us that we had the right harmony, we have the people, and now they're working on levitating the table. And so it is a point of development. So we're in development now, and we expect, and they tell us that we will have all of those things. We'll have the manifestations of which people materialize in the room. Things move around the room to demonstrate to us the capabilities of those on the other side. And all of these things are going to happen, but it's only because they honored the fact that we had tried. We were willing to try. So if anybody's willing to try to make a circle and sit for a long period of time and just have fun together, it's a wonderful experience because we love each other. And so we just sit and we have fun and we sing songs. They love ZZ Top. And so we play ZZ Top and we sing.
There's no accounting for taste, I guess.
No, it's not. We don't sing hymns. We don't sing hymns.
Right.
And so that anybody can do this. All you have to do is have a circle that you want to get together. Instead of going to a bowling league once a week, then you just sit in the circle and have fun with each other. And then they will honor that. And there is a good chance that they then are going to develop something within the circle.
And draw people to the circle
Yes,
who
they
have
are
the ability,
going
have
to
the gift.
right.
Yes, wow.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you were talking about helping people do that. Have you done outreach yet, or is this something still in development?
Yes, we are helping people to develop their own circles. We have an online circle that we developed. It meets every Wednesday night. And the online circle, this is different from the one that we have where Rob is the developing physical medium. The online circle is over Zoom, and we have people all around the world who are getting on to the online circle to have this experience so that they know what it's like. What do you do?
Oh,
And
wow.
then if they want to, they can form their own circle. They know how to do it then. But they're also having the experience, and people are having experiences happening in their locations while they sit on the Zoom meetings. And so we want that to be an instrument to help people to develop their own circles. And so then, of course, then we're also available to answer any questions. We have discussion groups on Zoom to help people to start their own circles. So we're really encouraging people, and we're helping them to do whatever it is that they need to do to have a successful circle.
Wow. So everyone, you can see that Craig is just a one-man dynamo. I can't get over you. You apparently really never do need to sleep. I unfortunately do still need a little sleep, but wow. Tell people how they can get in touch with you because you're very approachable.
Yeah, I really invite people to get in touch with me, and you can do it by sending an email to me at r.craig.hogan, my full name, at afterlifeinstitute.org, or just get on afterlifeinstitute.org. That's our website, and you'll get the email address there, and you can send an email. But I would welcome people to send me an email. I respond to all of the emails that I get. I also want to tell people about the online training program that we have that will train you how to communicate with loved ones on the other side. It is free. It's online. It's a training program. It goes through 8 stages of training. And by the end of it, 86% of the people are able to communicate with their loved ones. Some now are doing it every day, just as a matter of course. They communicate with their loved one. And it is at self-guided, all one word, self-guided spiritualunderstanding.org. Or you can just go straight to spiritualunderstanding.org and it will get you there.
Well, I know that you are very responsive to people because I hear from people that I have suggested should contact you, and they rave about what you're doing. So I'm very grateful to you. I can say, Greg knows about that, and they contact you, and you do respond. So bless you, dear. I'm so happy that we get to work together because I just feel what you're doing is wonderful.
Yeah, and we have a lot to do.
We have a lot to do,
yeah.
but the load is lighter when there are other people who also are trying their very best to do what they can for the world. And so I'm very grateful that you're there. And we've come to the end of our time. I can't believe it. It always goes so fast. But I will leave his email addresses in the materials so that when you listen, you'll be able to contact him. And I urge you to get to know more about all of this. As he said, and as I said, we are in the process of putting together something which will be kind of an umbrella for a lot of the things we're doing, because we need more people and more structure in order to be able to put this together in a way that it's going to be easy for you to learn everything you need to learn to make this your best possible life, your most productive possible life. So we're working on that. But meanwhile, Craig is in the lead, and he is doing such a wonderful job. Thank you, dear, so much.
Yeah, thank you, Roberta. It's been fun.
So this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes, and I'm so glad you could be with us today. Don't you just love Craig? Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began and you never will end. And when you really get what that means, it's going to change everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guests are going to be James and Steph Purpura. After overcoming awful pasts, he is a drug addict and she is the victim of sexual and emotional abuse. Together, this couple built and sold one of the largest construction, believe it or not, software companies in the world. So these are people who are already accomplished and they're very young. But as they helped one another to overcome their awful pasts, they began to develop new ways that would help anybody to overcome these horrible pasts. And they wrote a gripping book that's about their own development that's called Perception, Seeing is Not Believing. And this, as I'm about to talk with them next week, and as Craig was talking, I realized he's talking about a lot of the same things from a slightly different perspective. That's what's beautiful about this work. It is one body of knowledge. And wherever it resonates best with you, those are the people you can learn from. And it may be that James and Steph will do that for you, or it could be maybe what Craig is talking about would, or other people too. That's why we have so many guests on Seek Reality all the time, to just maybe there's one who will perfectly strike what you need right then and empower you as well. And James and Steph have actually begun to empower a lot of people, because they developed these techniques and they now share them through their website, which is called powerfulyou, that's just a u.com. They're the kind of people who are inspiring, who can make you feel really as if you can do anything. And so I hope you'll join us next week, because this is going to be a very empowering conversation. And this week, our guest for the 29th time has been our wonderful, extraordinary friend, Dr. R. Craig Hogan. Craig is the world's leading expert on the greater reality, and he's devoting his life to spreading the truth as broadly as he can. And as you see, working with many other people and trying to gather all of their energies and empower all of them. The Afterlife Research and Education Institute is doing wonderful work. And as you can see, he's doing a lot of other things too, developing mediums, for example, all sorts of things. He is now writing a set of books, actually. The last time I talked with him, it was 2. Before that, it was 1. Now it's 3. But this is an essential area, because most people really don't have any understanding of why it is we're here. Oh, well, we're here to grow spiritually. Well, what does that mean? We go to church more often? No, it doesn't mean that at all. What Craig is going to do is break it down for you, help you understand why you're here, why these things, why bad things happen to good people, why all of this is going on, and help you learn and make the most of this lifetime. I'm excited about what he's doing. I can't wait to see how it works for people. But he calls it Earth School, and that's just what it is. And you can get an A and graduate with honors if you do everything right. I think he's probably the best opportunity you're going to have to learn what you have to do everything right. Now, as you know, my nonfiction books are Liberating Jesus, My Thomas, The Fun of Dying, The Fun of Staying in Touch, The Fun of Growing Forever, The Fun of Living Together. And in February of 2020, finally, The Fun of Loving Jesus, Embracing the Christianity that Jesus Taught. For young children, there's a beautiful picture book called The Fun of Meeting Jesus, and soon The Fun of Growing with Jesus, which will talk about the death of a pet. You can order all of these books through bookstores or on Amazon.com, and of course the adult books are available to you as audiobooks. If you ever want to contact me, just go to robertagrimes.com and send me an email through the contact block. Like Craig, I answer every email. It can take a few days, but I do it as fast as I can because I know it's important to you, and I love hearing from people, so don't hesitate to email me. Past episodes of Seek Reality are available on webtalkradio.net, realrevolutionradio.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and there is even a wonderful Seek Reality app in the iTunes store, and it's free. And apparently then you don't even you can just carry it with you and it'll automatically download the next episode. My dear friends, my role in your life is just to help you get to the truth in just a few years' time, rather than in the 5 decades it's taken me. And I am excited and thrilled to be able to help you do that. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if I can be of help. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality, knowing that you, in particular, are a powerful, eternal being, and you, most of all in the universe, you are infinitely loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.